Okay, so the channel has now reached 1,440 subscribers. So thank you very much for all the support everyone continues to give. Really appreciate it. And we're getting closer to the 2,000 subscriber forfeit, where I have to wear a Burnley shirt in a live stream as a Blackburn Rovers fan. And that's all done tongue in cheek and a bit of self-deprecating humour. And I've discussed it at length in previous channel update videos. But the big thing I want to look at is channel viewership and percentage of views and where people are viewing from, because it's very, very interesting. And I've made reference of this, that the US and Canada is not where I would like the viewership to be. Ireland and New Zealand fluctuates every now and then. It goes up with rugby union content and it goes down when I have less rugby union content. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, as the Six Nations ramps up, week 3, week 4, week 5, as we reach the tail end of the tournament, and I try and watch more of the Six Nations than, let's say, the FA Cup or endurance motorsport, hopefully those views bounce back a little bit. So they're ones that generally fluctuate. But the US and Canada is very, very interesting for me, looking at where they are in percentage of channel views. But there's some other interesting ones that pop up. So over the last 3 months is very interesting. So in ninth place is South Africa, with 0.1% of viewers in the last 3 months are South African. In 8th place is Germany with 0.2%. I find that one very interesting. I haven't covered any German football clubs lately, or any German players or managers or anything like that. So that one really interests me, with Germany at 0.2%. Ireland coming in at 0.3% over the last 3 months. There wasn't a lot of rugby union that I watched. I didn't watch any of the autumn internationals, for example. And I've done a little bit of Six Nations content since the new year, and you'll see Ireland's percentage go up as a result. Canada's one that really concerns me is 0.6%. Earlier in the channel's history, Canada's viewership as a percentage was a lot higher than it currently is. So viewership in Canada is subdued, although it has gone up in recent weeks in the last month. Overall, in the last 3 months, it's still at 0.6%, but in a 1 month snapshot, it is a lot higher. And that's something that I'm keen to look at, is Canadian viewership. New Zealand also at 0.6%, came in at 5th over the last 3 months. I've done some more rugby league and rugby union content, and New Zealand's percentage will go up as well. India's a really surprising one, because I haven't done a lot of cricket content. They sit at 0.7%. Now, yes, there's a lot of Indians who are football fans, association football fans, that is. And of course, they do like their cricket, but there's a lot of Indians who are fans of Manchester United, Manchester City, and a lot of the big European clubs. And that's where a lot of merchandise gets sold. And also, an Indian family owns my club, Blackburn Rovers. So there is some interest in India for association football. But it's interesting that they come in at 4th on the viewership over the last 3 months. That one's very, very interesting. The USA is interesting at 4.9% in 3rd over the last 3 months. That percentage is higher over the last month. But the USA is very, very interesting there. Australia coming in at number 2 at 18.7% over the last 3 months. The percentages are generally higher month to month. So over the last 3 months, a little bit subdued in November and December going into January. But since I've started doing the NRL content again and some more rugby union content, viewership's gone up as a result. And you'll see that over the last month as a percentage of views. And the UK, still number 1 at 38.8%. Now, some months Australia is actually higher than the UK, so I find that one very, very interesting. But the UK and Australia basically are the engine room of the channel. That's where the majority of channel subscribers are based. Now, the last month is very interesting. India slips to 8th at 0.3%. South Africa disappears out of the top ranked nations, because it just hasn't hit the threshold for number of views to be triggered to be read on the channel analytics. There used to be a better YouTube studio with the analytics, where you got more data from more nations. So some of the changes YouTube has made to YouTube Studio is a bit frustrating there. So South Africa drops off over the last month. So India drops down to 8th at 0.3%. So there was a little spike in Indian viewership over the last 3 months that has dropped away over the last month. Germany is in 7th with 0.5%. Ireland is in 6th with 0.7%. New Zealand pumps up a bit to 1% of viewers are from New Zealand in the last month. Find that kind of interesting. Canada jumps up to 1.2% over the last month, and they sit 4th. So Canada used to be one of these countries that was in 4th or 5th and had higher percentages than it currently does, but viewership is rebounding, and so more viewers from Canada are now watching. As a percentage of viewers in the last month, it has been very noticeable that there are more viewers who are Canadian. The USA also goes up in percentage, but stays at third at 6.7%. Some more Americans are watching as well, and that is also very noticeable that the viewership figures are lower than what they used to be as a percentage, but the USA still regularly comes in at third place on the channel viewership. Australia comes in at second at 25.9%, and I know why that is. I've done some more NRL content, I've done a lot of NRL previews, and I've also discussed the Vegas games as well that are coming up in less than a month's time. And so 25.9% is about average for Australia. Some months it's higher, some months it's a little bit lower. And over the last 3 months it has been a bit subdued, but there was not a lot of sport for me to talk about in regards to the NRL over November, December and into the beginning of January. And the UK has dropped a little bit in percentage, but still number one at 36.3%. So it's very interesting where people are viewing from over the last month compared to the last 3 months. South Africa just drops off the list. Other than that, the nations stay roughly the same. I am aware that I'm watched in other nations around the world, but they're just not hitting the figures at the moment. So view counts are subdued across the board. Although in the last couple of weeks and the last month or so, view counts have been steadily climbing again, and they're about where they normally are in the height of summer. Just November and December were very, very subdued, which may reflect the views over the last 3 months. Or I also didn't do as much content in November and December. I took a few more breaks away from the channel, focused on some personal issues and some personal physical and mental health because I wasn't particularly well. I've had a few chest infections, I've had a few niggly muscular injuries, and my mental health was in a bit of the dumps between November and the beginning of January. It's a tough time of year that a lot of people find, and I will do a mental health discussion video as well. So the views in general were down on the channel over the last 3 months, but in the last month, yes, second half of January, beginning of February, view counts are back to, if not above, levels that we normally see in May, June, July, August and September, the summer months, when there's a lot of NRL action, there's a lot of AFL action, there's cricket tests, there's summer tours down under for the Test Rugby Union nations. And we also get international football as well in the summer, which I do a lot of coverage on. Now this year it will be the Women's Euros that we'll be watching, based in Switzerland, hosted by the Swiss. And England and Spain could be the two finalists again, like we saw in the World Cup. And England are wanting to retain their title when they beat Germany in the final 4 years ago. So there will be a lot of content. Now, as I say, the view counts November and December were subdued, and I will do a video discussing them shortly. But thank you very much for watching. Where in the world are you watching from? I'll be very, very interested to find. I want to learn more about my viewer base, because it's very interesting to me that when I look at the lifetime of the channel, I've got viewers from all over the world, and it's exceptionally interesting looking at where people are viewing from. We've got a lot of viewers in Scandinavia, for example. We have got viewers in South Africa. We have got viewers obviously in the Pacific Island nations like Fiji, Tonga and Samoa, for example. We've got viewers in PNG. We've got viewers in North America, in Canada and the US. So it's very interesting to me where people are viewing from, and I'll be very interested to know in the comments section where you are viewing from. But as I say, viewership in the US and Canada is up slightly, which is positive, but it's still below where it was back in 2018 and 2019, which is slightly disappointing. And I'm trying to figure out why, because North American sports fans are actually a bit more worldly and educated than the stereotype might suggest, with how they interview and how things work. The American and Canadian sports fans that I've interacted with on this platform have always asked good questions. They're always keen to learn. They're always keen to study and learn the history and ask the questions about how the various sports are played that they're not familiar with, and so they're a bit more educated and a bit more worldly than the stereotype that we see in the mainstream media would give. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you guys very, very soon.